say, oh, yeah, hopefully you got that.
Probably more electric experience than he can talk about. I rode up things that used to take me 45 minutes in 3 minutes because the bike was so good. A lot of people think that Chinese bikes are made by the renowned Chinese designer Something Wong.
They used to give me all the compliments that I used to give you when it was too hard. So.
Oh, right. So you mean their mom came up and talked to you about how that you wrecked their whole career and that no sponsors are going to be coming back to your event, and that we could have damaged their child's professional motorcycling career. It's Tuesday night. It's much better places to be than watching some ding dong on the internets rattle off about motorcycle related products. So cheers. And I'm pushing the buttons here all by myself. The show is going to be perfect. No mistakes. Audio is going to be working. Somebody watched the intro and the note came up and it said, this is the best part of the show because I'm not on it. And we just got information that we are the absolute #1 rated show about motorcycles, talking about answering your questions, and all that. What I just said was a lie. So hopefully the sound's actually working. Hopefully this show is doing what it's supposed to do. And for that, I say, oh, yeah, hopefully you got that. Hopefully that actually came through on the feed. I don't know because we're pushing all the buttons. Got an awesome show, as always. Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, episode number 210. This is the show where we talk about motorcycle and motorcycle-related products. I am your host, Jimmy Lewis. The only reason that I'm here is because I can answer 9 out of 10 motorcycle and motorcycle product-related questions without referring to a reference manual. I give you good, solid, user-generated advice, kind of like most of the people on the YouTubes and the social media platforms. But luckily, this is my 2 hours where I'm doing my giving back. It's sort of a little bit like penance. You know, I've had such a good dirt bike riding life. I want to share this with everybody. So that's what we're going to do. I have some questions on the sheet. I'm going to go straight to the questions that are in the chats right at the top of the show, which is really good. Nice to see Asher Leto in the chat. He's one of our regulars out there. I believe I have a question from you that you commented on one of our shows. I will get to that a little bit later. But of course, this show would not be possible without the awesome help from a lot of our sponsors. Climb, who's back in next year. That is if we do this show again next year. I'll get to that later. Because like I've said many times, I'm not that famous. I don't have a nice rack, and we don't give away enough shit on this show to get it to where it needs to go. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Climb, Yamaha, of course, Yamaha motorcycles. Yamaha revs your heart, and you can see that on the screen when it flashes behind you. Makers of the awesome YZ and WR and FX line. And of course, my favorite adventure bike, the Tenere. Been doing some Tenere shock testing, which has been fun, but I wish I could go ride more as opposed to go testing. We have help from Scott Sports, DDC. Of course, Taco Moto. They bring you the Roost or Endo segment, which is everybody's favorite part of the show, and that's probably why we don't do it anymore, because why would I just pander to my audience? I'm sorry. Rooster Endo, it's coming back big. If it comes back, when it comes back. So it's come back in a big way that you can be proud of so that I can struggle and work harder. And, of course, Fasst Company. Man, Cole really took care of some of our clients for our riding schools the other day, which was super cool. Fasst Company Flex handlebars. If you don't have them on your motorcycle or mountain bike, you are missing out, and you don't know why. And then when you get them, you will know why, and then you'll thank me later. Of course, Trail Tech, maker of the Voyager Pro computers, the fans that we have on all our extreme enduro bikes, the little meters and gauges, hour meters, temperature gauges, all that kind of cool stuff. Check out Trail Tech. That's trailtech.net. And of course, our original sponsor, DDC, Chain Wheels, ddcracing.net. So thanks everybody for joining. It's awesome to see all the people in the chat, and I think I'm going to be able to see that because I've got like a couple different windows up here since I'm not sure. I got these things that are popping up that are telling me to check the streams on my social medias. My encoder settings are all jacked up, but I'm going to turn that off and claim that it's fixed. It's kind of like when you just spray some polish on your motorcycle and pretend like you did the top end, or maybe put a sticker on the suspension and think you've fixed your suspension. So however that works for you, that works for you. If you're happy, I'm happy. So a couple cool things coming up. The Kurt Caselli ride days this weekend. Of course, if you're not going to my awesome off-road riding school, oh, you didn't know I did an off-road awesome riding school. It's called Jimmy Lewis Off-Road, JLR Off-Road Training. We do a few times a year. We do these 2-day riding schools where we aim to make you a better rider. Of course, a lot of that's on you. You've got to practice the stuff that we teach. But I have another announcement about that. I'm hopefully going to get Justin Linewieber on the horn a little bit later on in the show, because he is the guy who took over King of the Motos for me. So after I got retired from that position, I finished, basically. It was kind of like a race, and I finished it. Well, I finished, and then it took a little break, and then Justin took it back over. They got a pretty neat event coming up. I'm going to let him tell you all about that. And yeah, the 5 Ts are a little late for the show, says Mark Daniels. So yeah, Ashley's dad loves his mountain bike flex bars. I got him. Great for the old man. Thanks, buddy. I'm praying for you there. What are you doing? You got to go to Bible study. It's Tuesday night. It's much better places to be than watching some ding dong on the internets rattle off about motorcycle related products. So cheers. I've got a little bit of scratchy throat. I'm a little bit pissed off. Scratchy throat is from too much talking. But I didn't have to talk that much while I was on hold today for 4 hours trying to get a hold of the IRS, because I have some tax things going on. And F me if I don't know how the hell those people, like, I love United States. It's the best country in the world, no doubt about it. But I don't mind paying my taxes either. And I found out today, even though they're sending me bills back that tell me I owe them money, which I got 2 different bills for different amounts for the same account. And this is our government. They're sending me bills for money, and I know that I paid them. And I found out today when I finally, after the 4 hours on hold, and one time it was 2 hours, and then the phone system fritz. I got a message that said, please hold. And then it goes, due to problems with our phone system, we're closing, call back later. I'm like, who has 2 hours to sit on the phone? I kind of didn't, but I did because I need to get this taken care of. So I was back on for 2 hours and hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes, whatever the hell it was. Then a nice gal came on and she did help me out, where I found out that, yes, not only have I paid, but I've overpaid, and just someplace or another, some form didn't electronically get submitted, and it's causing a problem inside of their system. And then this is after being on hold with an insurance company. This is for my business riding school forever. And then finally getting through to somebody and having them tell me that they can't handle my problem because it's after 5 o'clock back east, wherever their thing was. And they were at a call center someplace, and they couldn't get to the person that had to have the information. It was like, I submitted it. I'm on the phone. It's not 5 o'clock where I'm at. In fact, where were you at 5 o'clock this morning when I was working my time? And I'm going to be working till 7, 8, 9, 10, midnight your time. Like, where are you? So, yeah. Okay. Let's get to those motorcycle questions. but not after. I tell you, this show, it's always going to be a nice show. It's a really nice show right when it ends. When it's over is the best part of the show. I'll tell you that. So I don't know if we'll make 2 hours tonight. I don't know if we have those questions. Again, thanks to Yamaha, Taco Moto, Scott Sports, Climb, DDC, Trail Tech, Fasst Company, Bulletproof Designs, which I didn't mention earlier because I wanted to talk about these. Look at these radiator guards for my WR. They are going to be indestructible. That's right. Everybody needs a nice set of radiator guards. And I'll just tell you, if you're going to get really good ones like these they're billet, they're machined to fit the radiators, they are the way that you want them to be, get them before you do any crashing, because then they're not going to hold your radiators together. And they fit so good that they're hard to get on bent radiators. So just do yourself a favor. When you're buying a new bike, if you're buying a new bike, budget in a little bit of extra money to buy the protective stuff that's going to save you stuff down the line. If you want to get into my tips for buying a new bike, just ask it in the chat. If you want to get into my tips for buying a used bike, I can answer those questions too. Because one of the things I did today in preparation for the show while I was on hold was I asked YouTube the question, YouTube specifically, like what kind of motorcycle or dirt bike questions are people asking? It's all how to pass your DMV test, which scared the crap out of me. Like you're gonna learn how to pass your DMV test to ride a motorcycle on YouTube, and then you're gonna go ride a motorcycle on the street. That's okay. I've seen the way people teach. I didn't bother to do that. So, and then the other questions were how to buy a used bike, which I think is a valid thing. But I managed to click on a couple of them, and I watched the guy tell you. And if I listened to him and I bought a bike based on that, I can't tell you how many bikes I've walked away from taking that guy's advice. So I'm putting a video right now on YouTube, actually live, where I'm going to tell you, if you ask, how to buy a used bike. But first of all, you can always buy a used bike from me. I have a lot of KTM RFSs for sale. And of course, you can start there. No Husabergs for sale. Although here's a picture of, I don't like to talk about myself all that much, even though that's all I have to do on the show. There's a picture of me riding a Husaberg. That's got to be a 92 or 93 Husaberg. That's when the cylinders actually came off the motors, I think. Or maybe that's when the cases were all part of the motors. It looks like the old plastic, but pretty cool. So we can do story hour. We can do all different kinds of things. But some of the other stuff that's in the news, Kurt Caselli Ride Day, that's December 2nd at the Fox Raceway, Paula Raceway. They are doing some fundraiser stuff. One of the really cool fun things they do out there is you can sign up to join a team. They may all be sold out by now, but you can sign up to kind of join a team and do a team race with some pro riders, which is really cool. There's actually a free learn how to ride school out there. So it's free if you enter the event for kids and anybody that doesn't ride. So if you're in this industry or you are someone that wants somebody that that doesn't know how to ride, this would be a great place to take them. If you're in the Southern California area or you can travel there, that'd be a really cool thing to do. Because I'll tell you from experience, because I do this all the time, you don't want to teach somebody that does not know how to ride motorcycles. In the chat right now, tell Justin to import Taddy on the Stark for King of the Motos. And then Chris Real wants the negative comments to start right now. Correct. I got to close that little note. Bible study got canceled. Okay, Asher Lito, I have a couple questions as a guy who doesn't talk much about religion. It's like, how can you cancel Bible study? You just can. It just seems like you would just gather there anyways. So Where did I get this shirt? Dave, yeah, this is a gift from Ricky Braybeck, actually. He dropped this off. And then Utah Desert Racer, who hates Trevor, says, "Yo, Jimmy, don't know what you want me to do with that comment." So, and the IRS hired 10,000 people to do what? Well, the girl that I talked to was super informative, helped me as much as she could. Unlike the first actual person I talked to, I pushed buttons and it said, okay, you got to wait 17 minutes or 24 minutes. And I got there and I said, okay, I'm calling because I had got this notice. And I called the number on the notice and I did all the things that it said to do. And I got there and she goes, "Oh, I can't help you with that. I have to forward you over to somebody else." I'm like, "Well, how long do I wait for that?" She goes, "I have no idea." And then forwarded me off. So, and then it was 52 minutes, something like that. Bullshit. Yeah, anyways. Good. Anyways. I'm looking at Hardcore Dual Sport 300, 2-stroke. Wait, Hardcore Dual Sport, says Dave Donnelly. Should I pay the extra cash for the 2024 KTM or get a cheaper 23 model? Well, Dave, since in all honesty, I don't know where your riding ability's at. Since you're scared to come to my school, I'm going to go that it's not really high. I'm going to go medium. You won't know the difference that much. It won't make any difference in the outcome of your riding. I hate to just tell you the hard truth, but that's really the way it is. Not enough people can make it to Bible study, so no Bible study. I should start doing that with this show. How do you get people to not show up? Because that might make it easier to not do this show, I think. Utah Desert Racer said he owed the IRS for a while, and it sucks. So this is what we found out today. I don't owe them money. I actually have a surplus of money with them, but they're sending me bills because they don't know what to attach that money to because, I don't know, my accountant retired and things got messed up for a year or two. It's regular people problems, I guess. Yep. Yeah, the government's going to get their money. They already got their money. They just don't know what to do with it. And they keep trying to get more from me is the amazing thing. So, yeah, there's where we're at on that particular thing. And Road Racer 3RC says something, but we're going. I got to figure out how I can scroll that thing up. I know that Dave is from the Valley of the Dirt People. That's why I'm giving him a little crap. You can't post messages to some chat. Kyle McCoy wants to know, have I ridden the Stark yet? Or have your opinion on it? I don't have an opinion on it because I've not ridden it. So any updates on the Tenere 700 build? I'm interested to know how the big blocks are holding up. Well, if you watched the last vlog I did, I'm pretty sure I showed you what they look like after 1,200 miles. So, yeah, that's where that is. They're holding up great. I've been running those things on all different kinds of bikes, so not too much of an issue. And I'm gonna have to keep looking off to the side here because I have to look at the chat over there. I can't see it back up on the big screen you said. Speaking of Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, here's the Tech Talk Taco Tuesday shirt that you can't have because I haven't made the form for it. And that was a mic drop right there. Yeah, I want to get them out before Christmas. So that means I need to do this like tomorrow. And luckily, yeah, I might actually have time to that. Cool stuff going on. We're still testing our WR450 and our WR250 Yamahas. We're working on better mapping. I'm actually still trying to get an exhaust for the WR, but playing around with that. Playing with the counter shocks. I gave one to Trevor to see what he thinks. And then a lot of the Scott pads. I think I talked about it like last week on the show. I'm pretty sure they're going to be selling those things here real soon. So some really good, they have some good technical materials inside of some good fitting pads, and I'm going on the durability on them. And I got to ride KTM 200s this weekend because why wouldn't you? So, okay, getting into the questions. Hi, Jimmy. I'm 6'2" and 230 pounds, beginner-ish rider on a KTM 890 Adventure R that has a rackless pack loaded for off-road camping with 80% off-road in western deserts. I will never go 2-up, but all my extra chunk and gear puts me about 325s on the bike. I know you talk about how important setting sag is on bikes. How about on big bikes? And thoughts on how do I tell if I need heavier springs while I'm riding? Okay. So when you talk about so for me, an adventure bike, and I know this specifically right now because I've been doing it with the Tenere. I've been testing some shocks for Touratech, and so I have the stock shock. I have a version 1 of a shock, and then I have a version 2 of a shock. They're two different kind of price point shocks. They're from two different companies, but accomplishing the same. They're just drop-in, bolt-on shocks for the Tenere. And right away, because of my weight, which is 200 pounds without gear, and it kind of depends on the suspension guy, whether you tell him without gear or with gear. But anyways, I usually tell him without gear because I think everybody just kind of adds the 15 pounds of gear you put on when you go riding. And then a lot of people cut it short. But anyways, so I think the Tenere is designed for like a 180 pound rider. And I would guess that the KTM is also as well. So you starting at 230 pounds and at 6.2, you're a little bit, you're kind of at that zone where you're probably going to need to use springs. But the adventure bikes are sort of designed to carry a little bit of gear and maybe a second person. So a lot of times you can spring preload it up. And on adventure bikes specifically, most of the time in the past, I had to run the spring preload maxed out. And what that did was it brought it up to a ride height where the spring wasn't topped out. Like there was still some free sag without me on the bike, but it just brought it up. And on the adventure bikes, I don't go and start measuring the sag. I do it all by feel. Like, how is the bike handling? How is the weight on the front wheel and everything? But at 230, and especially when you're tall, because you become more of a pendulum, you're probably going to have to go up on a rear spring, if not one spring rate, maybe two. And then if you go two, then I say you need to go up on the fork as well. All kind of part of just my very generalized talking to everybody, give you an answer scenario. So that being said, setting the sag is, and it's easy to do because they have adjustable spring preload, is, set it based on how it feels. If the bike feels like it's low in the rear, it's choppering, and don't go with bottoming out, because once that spring starts moving, sure, having a little bit longer stroke can help the bottoming, but I've seen people that just are bottoming all the time and they just crank the spring preload all the way and they think that's going to fix it. And at that point, it's like damping. It's like, at that point, there's something, it's the damping forces that are causing a little bit more of a problem. So at 6'2", you're same thing. You're just tall enough to where you're like a pendulum. You can move forward and back on the bike and really affect the suspension. And yeah, so springs kind of do that. And then if you start adding the extra stuff, this is where having the right spring and then being able to easily adjust the spring preload make a huge difference. So in my Tenere, when I have essentially what I'll call my 40 pounds of stuff in my bags on it, it significantly drops the rear end back down. But now I have a spring on it to where when I'm unloaded, it's unscrewed, and I just go in there and I turn the spring preload thing, and I don't know how far. I just kind of know how many times to turn it, and it goes up. And the reason I don't know is because I've been using these two different shocks, and I've been going luggage on, luggage off to see what changes. And it's funny because on one shock, I don't change the clickers. On the other shock, I want to change the clickers. So I do spring preload and some clicker settings. So just that's the thing. And he has a bonus question. He says, this is Robert, I believe. Richard, listening to episode 206 and Cush Drive. If you were camping off a 500 with a Recluse in Baja, would you make sure you had one with the potential longer slab sections? He's talking about the Cush Drive. With a Recluse. So the Recluse doesn't make any difference. It's the clutch there. I don't think that Recluse engineers any more like complete total grip into the clutch than stock. I don't know this for a fact, but so the clutch has a certain amount of slip in it, and then they also have dampers inside of the clutch basket as well. A Cush Drive is, and you think about it, your tire's made of rubber. Okay. So there's enough damping in the tire and the Cush Drive and the clutch, the clutch dampers, in other words, to take the shock out of that. But what happens is if your clutch is pretty damn locked up and you got a heavy load on it, the tire to transmission, through the chain, that's where they're trying to throw that extra bit of damping in. Do you need it? No. I've run thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands more miles on everything from Hondas to KTMs to whatever without a Cush Drive. And I have a couple Cush Drive hubs. And between running Cush Drive and non-Cush Drive, I've never seen any difference like in the oil or anything that would show me that it was harder on the bike. If I was using it as a pure street bike, I don't know, maybe, because that engine that's not really what it's designed for. But running a few slab sections in Baja is not going to cause you any worries. Just like running some pavement sections with a properly lubed and installed moose, you can go 70 miles an hour for a long time and you're not going to have any problems if you have the right moose, the right lube, and it was installed properly. So you just you heard it from me. And properly installed and is the thing there. So okay, I'm going to go back to the chat here because we've got to take these things. There's places where Dean, and I don't want to say his last name because he's routing himself, they don't pay taxes. Huh. Like I said, I don't mind paying my taxes. I don't like being overtaxed, and I try not to pay too much. But obviously I did pay too much. I just don't want to get bills after I paid too much. So stop it. Make that shirt on black. What? Or don't shower often, Victor? Easy with that. Victor evidently won the... he has video of him winning the Barstow to Vegas dual sport ride. And I think last time I was on the show, we talked about people racing at dual sport rides and what I thought of them. Greetings to you, Tom Wolf. Don't know what that means. Alex Aguilar. And then Chris was pretty happy that we said lube. Good on you, Chris. Thank you. We're talking about tires, lube and tires. It's for your own protection. Okay, next question. And this is Asher, believe it or not. I don't think I answered. Good thing Bible study got canceled. Thank the Lord. But Asher says, I'm flying home for Thanksgiving, and there's a District 38 race happening in the Superstition Mountains. I have decided to enter the race on my dad's mostly stock DRZ 400S. That's the street bike, by the way. I've been training on local trails in Idaho and at the MX track. Why did I get Texas in there? Anyways, and I did 4 District 38 races last year. So as a rider, I'm prepared. It's the bike I'm worried about. And you should be. What should I adjust the bike to get it ready to finish? Okay, so this is the point where I stop reading the question because I already know the answer. I don't have to say anything. What you need to adjust on the bike, you told me the bike. What you need to adjust on the bike is the rider on top of it. You have to adjust your speed to match the capabilities of the motorcycle. Because right now, if you told me you were riding a Vespa, the answer would be the same. Right now, if you told me you were riding, let's see, and it was in Thanksgiving, so we obviously missed this. So I got Thanksgiving in Texas confused. I don't know why. We'll actually ask him because he's in the chat. We'll figure out how this worked out. If you're riding the best bike possible for that event, super system would be probably a KX500 if you ask anybody on the internet. But yeah, so let's say you had a KTM 450 or a Yamaha YZFX 450. If you had a Honda CR 450X, whatever, that'd be the maybe the best bike for that particular thing. You would adjust your riding based on the bike. So, anyways, I'll continue with this question now. So that's the answer. We'll see if I change now. The bike has fully adjustable closed cartridge squirts, but they're valve very soft from the factory. How should I adjust the clickers to deal with the big whoops and high speed of the desert? Generally, you stiffen it a little bit. The DRZ 400 suspension is the same as the 1996 RM 250 suspension with different valving, if that helps. Oh, I'm familiar. I've ridden both of those bikes. Let's see. My current plan is to max out compression on the front and rear and increase rebound by 2 clicks each after I set the sag. Would adjusting the high-speed compression help, or should I leave it where the manual says? What else should I mess with? I'm 180 pounds, fully loaded. Asher. Yeah, you start getting to the end of the adjustment. So if you slam the compression adjustment shut, they usually get to the point where they stop working when you're 2 to 3 clicks from fully shut. And they don't really fully shut. That's just the end of the travel of the needle that's closing off or closing down the orifice. Sometimes they completely shut, and all it's doing is it's just allowing less blow by, and it only usually works at lower speeds. Then it kind of goes into the mid-speed valving and other stuff. On the shock, the high-speed compression can literally lock up a shock, to an extent when you hit something hard, and you don't want that to happen. And especially when you've already kind of forced more fluid through the high-speed valving by closing off the low speed, you don't necessarily want to start closing down the high speed as well. Maybe you did this. Maybe it worked out. I don't know where the end limits of that particular bike are, but high-speed compression, think about it as ride height in motion. With the more high-speed compression, the higher the rear of the bike tends to ride. This is just the way it is. It does... you can't feel it on damping, but you feel it more as active ride height control is what I like to call it. So hopefully that answered your question, and you're one step closer to not having your question answered in timely fashion. So you probably did what you did, and hopefully it was successful. How did that race go? That's what we want to know. Answer that in the chat. The taco shirt is only that color, or are you making them black as well? No, the taco shirt is going to be gray. The Tech Talk Taco Tuesday shirt will be gray because I know because I'm a dirt biker. I spill food all over my chest, and then I wipe up against my motorcycle when I'm giving it love, and then it gets dirty. So don't want to do that. And everything out here is dusty, so I don't want my white shirt to turn brown. I would like to have it just stay gray. The Tech Talk Taco Tuesday shirts that will be available for sale any moment now, before Christmas. We're going to do a Christmas drop, as we like to call it. We'll get that done. Next question. Uh-oh. Asher, I was the first on my line for a while until I landed in a ditch and slowed up after that. The suspension was super sketchy. I can understand this. Remember, that bike was designed for Billy Bob regular rider to ride to work and home, and then every once in a while go out and take the shortcut down the fire road and maybe hit a little section of single track trail, just like he did in the commercial for that bike, because it's a dual sport bike. It's to do everything, road riding and dirt riding. And you may be asking tonight, especially Mark, what tequila am I having? Well, I'm not. I have the stuff I've been having for the last couple of weeks right there, but in my show prep, I didn't get the right tequila out. So save it for next time. Next question from Scott. Hey, Jimmy, I wanted to get your opinion on the BMW HP2. I know you have a history racing the BMW Twins, so I thought it would be the perfect person to ask your opinion about using this as an adventure bike. I currently own a KTM 890 Adventure R, but I previously owned a 2018 BMW R1200 GS. The GS was a great bike, but it was too heavy for me to handle off-road. That's why I ended up buying the KTM. I'm a big fan of the BMW twins, and after reading some of the older articles on the HP2 and watching some racing footage from back then, I got interested in the possibility of picking one of these up. If you get a chance, I would really appreciate your honest opinion about these bikes, and it would be worth considering one of these in this day and age. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Scott, as someone who actually did some of the development on the BMW HP2, the best bike ever. It's and I'm fully responsible for the fact that that bike comes stock with an air shock. That's right, you heard it right, an air shock in the rear. There was 5 of us riding the bike, and it was 2-2, and they asked me which one, and I said there was no question, 100% air shock. It was, that thing gets such good traction. So I think the BMW HP2 was designed to be an aggressive kind of off-road adventure bike. It's not that great at carrying luggage, although it'll do just as good as any other thing. The motor is just as wonderful as that, it's that flat twin gets. They just putt right along. I think by today's standards, the bike will feel heavy because everything, it feels light in the steering, but it's a heavier motorcycle. And now with the, the 890s and the Tenere 700s and stuff like this, we've just kind of gotten to a point where there's a lot lighter feeling adventure bikes. So this is something to kind of be aware of. But if you like that engine character and that torque, and it's definitely torquier and more friendly than your older GS, because when they went to the newer design 1200, I think they started calling them the water boxer. That engine got kind of revvy, and it lost some of what I feel was the best characters of that particular bike. So yeah, it's kind of be aware of that, but I think they're kind of collector's items at this point, but yeah, BMW HP2, Jimmy approves.
Oh.
Okay, I'll adjust the volume on that and make it work better next time. And then there was one other question I know I didn't get to last week. We had a long show last week. I don't know how that happened, but let's see here. Here we go. Oh, there's the one page. Here we go. Lawrence. This is Lawrence Ketty 3536. He's talking about our Cove video. And I like this. I don't like to do the political stuff, but what's the thing? Hey, Raymond says, I had the KTM 950 and still have the Dirt Rider mag that you compared the HP2 and the 950 SE in. Oh yeah, that was an interesting thing to do. I had to be really careful with that because as I don't know if I actually came clean in that. I explained that I had something to do with the development of that, or maybe I didn't let my opinion feed that heavy into the opinions of the two bikes. But yeah, I could probably dig that article up someplace too. Okay, so Lawrence talking about the Cove says, let's get one thing straight first. There are no such thing as private companies in China. Everything is owned by the CCP. They put up a facade that they have some semblance of a free market, but it is just that, a facade. So I will be unsubscribing to your channel and boycotting any dealership that decides to prostitute themselves to China. I know I'm just one guy and you don't care. I don't care. Go ahead, double down and get John Cena to teach you how to beg and apologize in Mandarin as well. As for me, I'm going to go practice my Mandarin while you shill for the CCP. How do you say go penetrate yourself with a hot iron? And while you're at it, feel free to consume a big bag of Richards. Thank you, Lawrence Keedy 3563. We could not. This world would not be possible without people like you commenting on our videos. I would like to. I mean, I know there's got to be people that are out there doing this. Like, I would like to see someone who is living a what do we call it? Like a non-international life in the dirt bike circle. Like, you're just so pro-American. You're driving the Chevy or the Dodge. Oh, wait, those are assembled in Mexico. Actually, we should probably just assimilate Mexico and Canada, I think. I mean, they kind of already, yeah. Anyways, don't want to get into that. If somebody types build the wall in the chat, then we're just going for it. But David Potts says, not true on China. There are many private companies that are foreign owned, USA, Taiwan, Russia, etc. The countries are foreign owned, right? Hey, but if you're riding dirt bikes, your parts are coming from all over the place. And yeah, I get it. You may not like that country. You can try not to support them in certain things, but if that country is building something that you like right now, say, I don't like any Chinese, Japanese stuff. Well, good. Take your ignition in your car, carburetor, your ignition and your fuel injection off of your motorcycle and try to replace it with something from someplace else. And the problem is, oh yeah, I'm going to go over to Italy and get ignition, and I'm going to put some other kind of throttle body on there and all this other stuff. And like, well, where's that circuit board come from? Where is the, look into where the actual parts that are assembled, wherever they're assembled, even by the American company, look where that stuff comes from. And that's just the nature of way it is. So good on you. I mean, you just got to be a little more open about certain things, and yeah, I mean, I don't like politics. The Honda Odyssey, what? The Honda Odyssey is the most American-made car. I thought he was talking about the Honda Odyssey, the precursor to current day UTVs. Is when I read Honda Odyssey, because I haven't seen that name for a long time. Hey, if you are wondering how to make your vision way better, Scott Goggles, my friend. I'm telling you right now that these are my go-to goggles. Scott been making goggles since forever, by the way. This is a special edition 6 days goggle, and if you saw the 6 days, the guys that were hauling ass and seeing everything were probably wearing Scott goggles. They used to make a goggle called the Dust Goggle, and it was one we actually got for Dakar, where they actually used thicker foam, and they have some of the things. If you go to their website and check out all the different offerings they have in goggles with the different lenses, the different foams, the different fits, and different price points, as a matter of fact. But talking about a company that's really been good with the goggles, Scott Goggles. Check them out. I do all the time. It's kind of, we're getting into it's funny because in the summer I'm big on the amplified lens, and now I've noticed I've switched over back to the light transitioning lens because it gets dark and light so early and late, and then now we have clouds coming in and not full sun and different stuff. And if you want to have the best vision, get a light sensitive lens and in your Scott goggles, and you'll be in really good shape. Victor says the Chinese massage parlors are great though. Of course they are. That's because you're paying somebody here. Do they send all their money back across the border, Victor? How does that work with the Chinese? Do they put it in little boats and float it across? I'm not sure. All these comments are being sent from devices were built where? Thank you. Without China, you could not have Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, brought to you by Jimmy, who's pissed off at the IRS because they can't figure out how to get a phone system running. Actually, the whole phone system's probably built in China too, come to think of it. And without China, I couldn't pay my taxes. Oh, we're going down a rabbit hole now, boys. Kites. They use kites. Okay. Victor says, do you think Yamaha Europe will bring the Fanuc 300 to America? Seems to be a very advanced dirt bike. So, Victor, if you watched our last episode where I did I pointed the hard questions at Mike Ulrich, who's basically their media guy, and he knows more than he lets on to, I'm pretty sure. No, I don't think we're going to see any Fanucs over here. We never have. We had trials bikes a long time ago, but I think those are super gray market imported. And yeah, so who knows how those things will work out. I'm going to get to the questions we received on a lot of our stuff last time, but not without the help of Bulletproof Designs. It's bringing you the the radiator guard that I wish this was on my WR right now. Just doing my sponsor good today. I'm going to put the radiator guard right here on the chair, right in front of the Tech Talk Taco Tuesday shirt that you can't get. Oh yeah, also brought to you by my riding school. We have openings this weekend if you want to become a better rider. On Monday, you will know how little you know about what you thought was the right way to ride. Your head will literally be exploding. We have a class on Monday, and I'm gonna give Justin a call like right after the ad break, which is coming up pretty darn quick. So I'm gonna text him in a mere moment or two, and get to the questions. So TWD Stroke says the technical difficulties are part of the charm, and what he is talking about is this show, because it's hard to get this show off the ground, but I think I did it with no technical difficulties, even though that computer over there was doing some hiccups. Thank you. We're working on this. And if you're listening to this like in the podcast format and you want to ask a question, it's real easy. Just find one of the videos on the Facebooks or the YouTubes and make a comment. Melissa Ward 2720 says, it might just be me, but I've never been riding a dirt bike and thought, what this could use is traction control. I believe that was on our KX450 video. And I'm right there with you, Melissa Ward. But I watch a lot of people ride, and they can use traction control. They really, really can, because they're just not sensitive enough to feel it, and they're usually causing themselves problems because of it. I would like to see more people that we train at some of our schools have the ability to have traction control on their dirt bikes. Not so much on the adventure bikes, because generally by the time that they get to the place where the problem's going to happen, all the traction and the control in the world isn't going to work. They've already lost their balance, so traction was gone a long time ago. But I would like to see it on some of the dirt bikes, the lighter dirt bikes, where maybe actually cutting the spinning and the spinning kind of getting inconsistent traction, knocking them in and out of balance might help fix that. It would be interesting. So a lot of people think that Chinese bikes are made by the renowned Chinese designer Something Wong. Victor, I'm giving you credit for that one. That was gave me a little bit of laugh. Seth 505 Seth says, absolutely, it corners great and has awesome torque off the bottom. So the question to you guys is, what video was Seth 50 Seth commenting on? Because you could comment on that about like most any bike, any modern bike. But okay, Rider 65 says, denying countersteering, face green smiling, you bunch of hacks. He was actually talking about a comment Johnny Campbell had made on this show. And so I had to go see what Rider 65 was into, because sometimes their channel tells a little bit about them. So I do a little searching. He's a balanced trials rider guy, and he was like riding. His videos are like he had 37 views of his video of him riding a mountain bike on a brick wall. So I don't know I don't think we're denying countersteering. I don't know what was going on there, But if he Rider 65 feel free to comment. And then Prairie Dog 879 says, make XR 400s great again, Jimmy. No. I'm over the XR 400. And Jeff Lemmy says, I love JL. Well, thanks. I don't know how to take that. My wrist, thank you, too, sir, as I've owned flex bars for years. You recommend it. Keep up the good content. F China. And by the way, flex bars, 100% made in America. The whole China rant was 100% brought to you by Fasst Company flex bars. Everything they make is made here in the United States. They're proud of it. They logo it on the stuff. I know it. I've been to the flex factory in Bountiful, Utah. I don't think they let anything Chinese into Utah because I've been there before. Like, I know things. Dow, you dick, says, might be in the video, but I missed it. What seat are you running? Okay, here's another comment that could be in any video. It might be in the video. Okay. We took the time to make a video and talk about the bike, and you evidently watched it enough to comment on it, and then you go back and say, it might be in the video, but what seat are you running? I don't know. I told you I'd talk about this, and I just did. So I hope you waited this long to find out that you're going to have to watch that video again. It'll help. It'll help your thought process along. And to Free Ranger CT110. CT110. I remember those bikes. I don't know if I'd actually claim that in my name, but anyways, keenly anticipating the 2024 Dakar with some guy signed up to ride in the Cove. Top 10 finish, perhaps. Nah, I doubt it. Not familiar at all. 3 days ago. That dude in the red is a giant, says Bryce 3832. Yeah, it's Brent Farrell. He's one of our long and tall, we call him stretch test riders. So on that note, I think it's time to take a commercial break. Because everybody likes commercial breaks. And we'll come back with a couple more questions and Justin Linewieber on the line to talk about King of the Motos and some cool things.
The defending champion, the all-new Yamaha YZ450F.
What's up, Moto Buddies? Mike here from Taco Moto Co. What is the Taco Touch? It's the best service in the industry. Virtually 24/7 tech support via email or text, and it's like having a dirt bike doctor on call every day of the year, helping you fix your bike or recommend parts or setups for you. If you've ever received an order from us, you know that the Taco Touch extends to our fulfillment, and our orders come with the coolest stickers that you've ever had, buying parts from anybody before, and a handful of root beer barrel candies. All of our Taco Moto Co. branded components come with a no questions asked lifetime warranty. And we'll even extend out the warranty of other manufacturers, OEM, and aftermarket parts where we can, sometimes for life. We test and tune endlessly and exhaustively and obsessively. We're trying to destroy everything that we can before you get your hands on it to look for weaknesses and to improve it, or to make recommendations to the manufacturer. And if it's something that doesn't meet grade, then we don't offer it on the store. Everything that we carry is something that we have personally used, tested, and ridden and raced, and knows meets the high Taco Touch demanding standard. Go out and get some adventure.
And we are back. Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, show number 210. On the phone with me now is Justin Linewieber. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Hey, Jimmy. Thanks for having me on.
You're there. Hopefully everybody can hear you. Hopefully sound levels are good. If it is, then just if it isn't, then let me know, and we can try to fix some of this stuff up. But Justin, first of all, thanks for keeping the King of the Motos alive, because that was when that was the race that I wanted to race. I mean, I built the race I wanted to race because I loved extreme enduro. I liked having something with navigation-ish challenges. The stage was set. It's Burning Man for a gearhead that's out there. It's really cool, and I kind of got done with it. And then a few years later, and Justin had helped me a few times. Actually, you raced the very first one, correct?
I raced the second one. The very first one was invite only, and I just went out and watched and knew I had to come back and race after that.
Oh, had we seen a kid riding around a KX500 that said he wanted to do it, we would have signed you up. You know this,
yeah?
Right? Because you did it on a KX500 the first year, correct?
Yep, I did. I made it about 11 miles and couldn't kickstart it anymore.
So yeah, you would have been instantly qualified in my book. But anyway, so you definitely rode it a few times. Then started helping me out. I know you were injured for a few of the years, and then came out and started when I was going around poking around trying to find better and better, or by most people's standards, worse and worse trails. You'd help me, and then somehow you connected with Dave to bring the race back.
Yeah, definitely. If you hear Dave's side of the story, I just kept poking him and prodding him and begging to bring it back. And we're excited to build on the platform that you started, and it's just been great. We're on my year 4 now. And we've got our own weekends that is going to build up our rider count and spectators, and the course is difficult. And it's just going to be a lot of fun this year.
Yeah, I was really worried last year when I heard it was kind of like the opening event, like beforehand. And I mean, I was worried because like what made that thing was having the kind of prepackaged spectators that are there already. And I'd been out there when they're setting up Hammertown, and you know, it's kind of a ghost town until the first car race. In reality, there's just the teams. But then now it's grown so much. Like the week before, people are out there kind of lobbying for parking spaces and trying to get in there. And I mean, we always knew that everybody loved watching the motorcycles. And now there's a lot of people that come early to see the dirt bikes.
Yeah, it's kind of incorporated into, you know, bringing out your trailer the weekend early and being able to go through the gate when it's not slammed ready for a car race. So the lines are a little bit shorter. And then plus you get to see, you know, the best guys in the world riding some really extreme stuff and putting on a show. And you know, sitting in Hammertown, we still have the Jumbotron up so we can watch all the racing there or go out to the spectator areas. So
and then this
it's
thing,
it's definitely growing. It's pretty cool.
And that was something that I didn't realize how much was available was that just the media team and the media presence that he has out there, all the different, back then it wasn't live cameras, but man, did they put cameras out on the course and you really got to see. I mean, this is before like now when everybody had a phone in their pocket, they could transmit live, or these guys were out there shooting really good quality footage, slow, high speed cameras and, putting, back then, like I said, GoPros were sort of new-ish, good ones, putting cameras in all the right locations to catch the action. And then they would come back and, I mean, literally we're done with the race and they've got a bangers clip of just all the action, because they really shot the start and spent some time editing the start, and they made that race look so cool. And I think that's really what helped it. And now they're broadcasting it live with drones flying around, getting you places you would never be able to see. They've got camera locations with but microwave links, and the scope that the King of the Hammers goes to broadcast that is amazing, and the riders get really, really good coverage.
Yeah, we've gotten really good feedback from the riders. Typical hard enduro is, like my dad used to say, it's not much fun to go watch, because you watch them leave the start and then you wait for an hour or so and maybe catch them one spot. But now, the Hammer crew has really upped the level of exposure for these guys to, their family gets to watch them a lot more. And, the top guys are pretty much covered by drones and helicopters and camera guys that you wonder how they got there, and
they get dropped out of a helicopter.
It's unreal.
or they hike a long ways. I know these guys. I get to work with them on different times, and they're some of the best filmers in the world, and they don't like it easy. They like their job to be difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, something cool you got coming up here. You have a kind of a pre King of the Motos event to get people tuned up.
Yeah, so we were sitting around a couple weeks ago, and King of the Hammers actually has like a rookie program where they bring out their new drivers and kind of go over the what's what to racing King of the Hammers. And I said, why don't we do this for the bikes, but not only the rookies, because it's not often it'll be your very first race to come race King of the Motos. Well, it does happen.
Yeah.
But we threw a weekend together, December 16th and 17th, and we're going to be doing classes on GPSs and kind of bike setup and a little bit of body preparation and for some people, some mental preparation. And then I'm talking to you, and now we've got you coming out to help with the GPS classes and teach guys your magic on reading a GPS, and then we're going to have you out
that's not magic. That's science. Actually, it's not science. It's just a real easy kind of, it's just if-then relationship with the instruments, understand how they work, be aware of where they do and don't work, and then tell people how to use them. And it's not that difficult. I think for most people, the problem occurs when, they push the button that makes it turn on, and then the problem starts. It's like, well, how does it know where to go? It's like, oh, you have to load a track into it. Oh, okay. Well, then what do I do? So, yeah.
Yeah. The worst thing I hear on race morning is, well, I put this on my bike last night, and how do you turn it on?
Yeah.
So we're going to get rid of that, hopefully.
I'm going to go depend on this thing for the next 6 hours to tell me where to go. And then, but I just put it on. I've never used it before. No, because I used to do a video or two before leading up to King of the Motos. I used to put a video out, tell people kind of like, hey, here's my setup and here's how I use it, and kind of went through the steps. And sure enough, you'd see the video and it'd get like 300 views or something like that. None of them were anybody in the race. I'm like, did you look at the video? Oh no, dude, I didn't have time. Like, how'd you get here?
Yeah.
So it's typical racers, but always looking for a little self promotion. I volunteered to, well, of course, for a fee for the entrance is to do a riding school class that will tell you how to make yourself more prepared to be able to finish, or at least get farther along the course. So I'll be doing a class out there as well. So again, shameless self promotion, Justin.
Well, I really appreciate it. We're excited to have you out there and part of it. And like I said, December 16th, 17th, registration is open to absolutely anybody. If you're racing, if you're not, if you're thinking about it, if you want to just come hang out, see what we're doing, you just have to register. The links are on the King of the Motos Facebook page, or you can follow me on Instagram at KOM Justin. And any questions anybody has, they can reach me there. We're doing one meal Saturday night for everybody. We're just going to hang out at the King of the Hammers Ranch and enjoy the two-wheel fellowship and learn some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is kind of a cool thing, because there are a lot of like subgroups that sort of formed where guys were going out and trail riding. They were taking track logs from the old courses and doing kind of their own training events, and there was different groups doing this. So it's kind of cool that it's sort of more of an official thing. So you're going to get to, from the guys that are putting it on, you're going to learn here's how it works. So you don't show up at the race and have to learn here's how it works. You're going to show up at the race and hopefully mostly be ready to go.
Yeah, and we'll go out Saturday and Sunday and do some riding in the hammers, and it'll kind of guide guys on what to train on and where to train. And then with your class being in there, we can definitely learn some new skills and I'm probably going to be leading a ride during the same time as your class. So otherwise I'd be sitting there taking it and learning how to get up, sledgehammer just a little bit faster.
I don't know about faster. I'll tell you how to get up there with using less energy and being more confident on, whether or not you're going to make it. I've ridden every mile of the, of all the courses that I put on, and I rode most of the miles of the courses you put on. I think there's one or two spots that I've seen in videos. I'm like, I don't know if I've been there, but I know how to get my ass through this stuff, and I can kind of tell you, I can explain what the problems are, because it's not what you think. And this is the thing we learn about riding. It's not this advanced technique that you're missing out on. It's really more of you kind of missing on some of the basics that you kind of threw out the window. And I'll just say it: balance and traction. Balance and traction are the two main things that people throw out the window, and they just go, I'm just going to send it. And it's like, well, you can't even get enough momentum at where you're at to send it just yet. And you see how that works.
It tends to hurt body and bike.
I always like to point out, a lot of these guys, I see these guys they're you're kind of call them just regular Joe core extreme enduro riders. And they're into this, and they do this sport quite a bit. You look at their bikes, and it looks like they just took a hammer to it and just randomly went around, hammer and like an abrasive grinder, like with a really gnarly abrasive on it, and just hit the bike at almost all corners and edges and along some really good sides. And you're just going like, how did that happen? Because I look at my bikes that have been through, I had this one KTM 200. I still had it. I rode it this weekend. It looks better than 80% of the bikes that show up for, privateer bikes, not the factory guys that get new stuff all the time. It looks better than 80% of the guys that are on that line, and it's been through every course. And I tell you, some of that stuff was not rideable when I went through there. I had to, I won't say drag the bike, but we drug the bike. It wasn't pretty. But I just don't think, I'm just envisioning like, I don't think I did like crashes. I had places where I sort of lost it a little bit and was able to set the bike into the hill, or I was able to kind of push it over the top, not send it over the top or have it come tumbling down back on me. And I would like to tell people how to get to that level where, because it's not so much about the bike, and I don't care about the bike, but it's like I don't want people to get hurt when they're doing this stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I learned so much in the years where I, had the opportunity to follow you while you were making course, and that's really what jump started my hard enduro lifestyle. Now that I get to ride, is just being able to follow you and learn how to conserve energy, and like you said, the traction thing. I learned how to get traction better following you than anything I've ever done.
Yeah.
So
and now with the sticky tires you guys get to use and all I mean, that was back. You remember I was running trials tires.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And everybody's like, why are you doing that? I'm like, because where I want to go, this thing actually works. And it didn't work in certain, I mean, they're horrible when you get on the brakes and you start sliding. They just don't work. And so there's lots of different, things. And I mean, I credit the trials tire for one of the years that I finished Erzberg. I had a trials tire on when I went through the forest, and I rode past probably 150 guys that were all stuck and spinning on logs, and there was no way I would have been able to do it on a knobby. But I just started riding my bike like a trials bike, as far as making it stick to stuff where an ordinary tire just didn't have the surface or the grip to. And then now with mooses and all the different things. Hey, Justin, we're getting a little bit of feedback. It's not coming through on some device that you have playing there, is it?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I'm just sitting in a quiet room with a computer off to the side.
Okay, yeah, all of a sudden I can hear an echo. I don't know if it goes on the live stream or not, but I'm getting it. Anyhow,
okay.
So explain a little bit so people that aren't familiar. So King of the Motos is what we call an extreme enduro. That means it's a race that's Justin, I don't know if you know this, but you want to have one finisher.
Well, if you remember my first year, I didn't have any finishers, so I definitely went a little too far in that direction.
That's the easiest thing to do. And then you can still call it an extreme enduro. It should have been called a too extreme enduro, because no finishers is that's kind of the worst thing that you can do. And I mean, Dave, and I don't know, Dave probably didn't know he had to tell you this, but he probably told you afterwards, you have to have people come across the finish line.
Yeah, I definitely got the lesson there. And then the next year, it was a little too easy just because of scheduling and stuff and course changes and all that stuff. But all the we had a lot of amateurs finish.
Was that the year I did it, or did I do it the year that you didn't have any finishers?
I think you did it the first year I took over, so it was the year I didn't have any finishers.
Yeah, because I remember this now. Well, I did one loop and one checkpoint is how far, and there was a total of 3. There should have been 3 loops. So that's when you kind of adopted the bronze, silver, gold format. Yeah, and I just remember when I got the course files, which was on accident, again, it was I saw where the course went, and I was like, wait, that's on the bronze loop. And I know from experience, I knew how long it took to ride these certain sections. And I'm like, I'm not going to finish the first loop. I go, there's not enough time in the day. So I was already, my whole game plan changed. It was like, I'm not even going to finish. I don't even care, but this is the first time I ever rode a fuel injected 300, and I rode up things that literally, and I had a good tire, a gummier tire. I rode up things that used to take me 45 minutes in 3 minutes because the bike was so good. It got traction, the tire. I was running a Kenda Equilibrium, by the way, with a really soft nitro mousse. So I had, I knew my setups. Man, I rode right up stuff, and I was like, hey, I might finish this damn loop, which I did. And I had to take one little kind of break for cramps in the middle of it because I pushed a little bit too hard. But but I thank you, because I got to ride the race that I kind of wanted to ride. It was like a cool format, and I like the navigation. Although some people hate me for that, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, it's about 50-50 on the navigation now, but it's still a navigation race. And this year we're skipping the prologue. So we're just going to have a 2-lap race on Saturday and then a 3-lap race, where it gets progressively harder on Sunday. So it should be a good time. What I'm trying to do is at least make the top 5 guys break a sweat on Sunday. So that's my goal.
It's getting so hard with the level that they've gone to. The guys that are training for this and they're getting really good. A, equipment's getting better. B, now they know how to train and they come out and practice in the areas. And it's not that hard to go find most of the trails that you'll use. So but the good thing is that the cars and trucks from going out there practice will completely change some of the the known canyons. But hopefully you got a few surprises mixed in for everybody.
Yeah, I can say my first loop is about 70% new trail that I've never raced and never seen raced.
Awesome.
And then the second loop has got, some stuff we've seen before along with, the first loop. And then the third loop, Dave, Cole threw down the gauntlet and told me, because he heard through the grapevine that some of the top guys were saying there's nothing in Johnson Valley, we can't make it up. And so me and him were chatting about it one night, and he threw down the gauntlet and said, if you make the course go there and you think it's safe and it's actually, it will actually be doable, I'll put a camera there. So I'm not going to give out where that is. Say anybody's here,
hey,
but
helicopters make.
I'll tell you later.
Easy.
And
Yeah. Well, I don't know. What if I decide?
Yeah.
What if I get cocky and decide I'm going to at least try?
I'm totally open for it.
The problem, in all honesty, I mean, I want to go race, but I get pissed off at myself. Well, most of the time when I go race, I kind of can say, okay, I'm not really racing, and I don't try. But then I forget that, and then I start doing what I shouldn't, and then after, then I run out of energy. Then I start making mistakes, and then I'm pissed off at my performance, and I'm no longer. I went out there to have a good time and be happy, and then I can look back and laugh at it, but I'm not a very happy person at the end of the day.
Right.
It's a rough go. But anyways, hey, if you want to learn a little bit about extreme enduro, Justin's King of the Motos event out at Johnson Valley on December 16th, 17th, 15th, 16th.
17th.
17th.
It's yep, on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, so if you want to go, it's free for anybody. So you can come and see maybe some of the good top riders are coming out. Do you know?
I haven't looked at the registration list yet, and I know the guys are flying back and forth racing the super enduros, and
right.
And the World Hard Enduro Series is starting up, and so I'm not sure with being the weekend before Christmas and everything where everybody's schedule is going to be, but I know that we're going to be there and we're going to have a good time. And
come out,
teach some guys about
learn how they use the GPS. So, you can come to my class and learn how to ride, or at least I'll give you stuff to practice. You'll learn how to ride after you practice it. And then we can, hopefully you get a great and congratulations, because we used to struggle to get when I was doing it, I think we got like 80 entries or something like that. It was our big year, and you're up over 100.
Yeah, last year was really exciting. We also joined forces with the U.S. Hard Enduro Series as their kickoff premier round, which there's 6 rounds that are premier in the United States. It's heading towards that national championship status. And so we kicked that off last year, and we had 170 riders come and enter to race. And I had a 60-some finish laps on Sunday, which, as you know, is irritating to us. But this year I'm aiming to have a few less finish the whole race.
Right.
But nevertheless, everybody had fun, and they used to give me all the compliments that I used to give you when it was too hard. So.
Oh, right. So you mean their mom came up and talked to you about how that you wrecked their whole career, and that no sponsors are going to be coming back to your event, and that we could have damaged their child's professional motorcycling career. Ever happened? No.
I neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, it's funny. Like the life of a race promoter is not what you think, and especially like because I know you're a little bit like me in that you're not just there, for the money, just trying to put money in backpacks and satchels and just take off. You're there because you want to put on the event that you want to ride, and making it good. And by golly, if you don't hear the 9 people that give you the compliments and tell you what a bitchin' event it is, but that one person that comes and tells you how you ruined their kid's career because he's not going to get a factory ride because your course was this, or you put a checkpoint here and they missed it and whatever. But let me give you some promoter advice, Justin. I don't like to give this out. I mean, like 2 people watch this show, but I'll say it anyways. When somebody ever comes up to me and they say, hey, Jimmy, I was thinking, you should take your start and you should move it over here like this. And I go, I always say, that's a great idea, but you should do it at your event. That's all you say. It's a great idea. You should do it at your event, and you'll be amazed at the looks that you get back, that either you completely confused them or you're the biggest asshole I've ever spoken to ever. Can't believe you said that to me, because you just shut them right down. So just remember that. So when I come up and tell you, Justin, that was a great race, but just say, Jimmy, when you start putting this race back on, you should do that. So anyhow, okay. Well, hey, Justin, thanks a lot. December 15th, 16th, Johnson Valley. I'm going to be there. Justin's going to be there. Lots of cool people are going to be there. Shit, we should do a Tech Talk Taco Tuesday after the dinner, after the campfire, after had a couple sodas in us. Tell what we really think. Yeah, maybe we'll record a live one out there.
Yeah, Saturday night. I think we can make that happen Saturday night. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah, well, shit, Dave has enough. There's enough bandwidths out there to do this kind of thing. That'll just encourage me to get my mobile setup up and running. But yeah, we can do that, and then people can come and join the show live. So
yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Cool. We can tell stories about race promoter life. So
it depends on how many sodas. We may not want to tell all those stories.
Right. Okay. Everybody, thank you, Justin. We'll see you out in the trail.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. See you soon.
Right. Bye.
Bye.
That was Justin Linewieber, everybody. And if you don't know, if you need cams for your Harley flathead, check out Linewieber for those as well. His dad was legendary, especially with the guys that are, trying to set land speed records on those old Harleys and making them run and stuff. What a cool guy. Got a couple things. Gronk says Kenna Equilibrium, very underrated in the tire. Yeah, I know this. I still run them. I actually run them a lot of times when I go down to Baja and I'm going to do a peninsula run. I put it on there because I just know and that it's just gonna work good kind of everywhere, and it doesn't throw knobs. And then Ashlito says, is King of the Hammers actually going to pick up more of their trash this year? With a question mark. Volunteer groups shouldn't be cleaning up after an event of that size. Well, the funny thing is I know a little bit about this, having worked on the event, is They actually, the volunteer groups go out there, but Dave donates substantial sums of money to them for their efforts to do that. Because trust me, you need a lot of people to pick up a lot of trash from a lot of the ding-dongs that go out there. And it's not King of the Hammer staff or what we'll call core off-roaders. These are just the ding-dongs that go out there, and these are the same people that would dump trash anywhere. It's just like people saying, look at the shooting areas. Look at how crappy that area is. Those aren't the core shooters. Those are the ding-dongs that go out. Those ding-dongs, they shoot guns. They ride dirt bikes. Well, usually ATVs and UTVs too. I like to call them retard chariots sometimes. But yeah, people dump trash, and Dave does the best he can. He uses the volunteer groups and he donates to them. I know this. So they're doing it. And believe it or not, some of these people, just like you like riding your dirt bike, they like picking up trash. It makes them feel good about what they do. So I know this because I've been out there when they're doing it. Yeah, and it is. Yeah. So Justin commented. He says, "Thanks for having me on the show. Dave leaves it cleaner than he finds it." And by Dave, he means the King of the Hammers group and the stuff. And most of the people I know that are core off-roaders, when they're up at Chocolate Thunder, they're at Backdoor, and everybody's drinking beer and throwing cans on the ground. These guys are picking up 10 extra cans than they brought in with them. And I know because I'm that guy. I do that as well. I pick up trash out here in the dry lake bed. After every 4th of July, after every New Year's, I come back with more than 2 or 3 full truckloads of fireworks crap. These aren't off-roaders that are doing it. They're probably not even fireworks enthusiasts. They're just the ding-dongs that like to throw trash on the ground. Maybe they're Chinese. No, I shouldn't have said that, Victor. Anyways, yeah, and Justin lives across the street from that place. That's his playground. That's our playground. We don't like this. So Dave does what he can. I mean, he provides a lot of entertainment, and a lot of ding dongs come out for the entertainment, and that's what you get. If you start bringing a lot of people in there, you're going to get the bad apples. I'll fight with them. I'll fight with you all the time on that one. I because I've seen it in so many different groups. I'm part of a lot of different communities. And even out here, and where I live out here in Pahrump, Valley of the Dirt People, we have a Cleanup Pahrump group. And I've gone out and worked with them, and these people are actually passionate about picking up trash. It's like their hobby. They like doing it, and it's cool. I don't think we need people to support their bad habit by throwing trash or driving something out in the desert to dump it, but it's good that we have people like this out there doing this kind of stuff. Okay, so back to the questions. I should have had Justin hang on for questions. He's a really good mechanic as well. But JDM 1200 says, "Happy Thanksgiving." Okay, a couple days late, but that's good. I wish I could have said that and then read the answer to Ashley's question. So, but I couldn't help Ashley. He seemed like he managed himself. And then Hopeless Droid, who, by the way, is a gamer who has videos of himself playing games on the thing, says, "Always get the R or the RX." He posted that on a video of us testing the Honda 450 CR450X. And I don't know. Okay, thank you. I always wonder, because I wonder if I would actually make that comment. Who knows? Okay, what's going on with my stream settings? The things aren't popping into the chat. Not really sure why, but we'll see how this works. Ollie Christopher 467 says, "I'm 5'9" with a 30-inch inseam. I would never consider lowering a bike." Okay, 5'9", 30-inch inseam, so that's really close to me. Oh, here we go. "Your class really taught me the importance of slow speed balance and stopping to regroup when needed. Hell, I even watched you stop and regroup on that rock hop at the end of the class." So obviously, when he means like stop and regroup, it's like I was getting ready to do something and it wasn't right. So I stopped. I didn't go. I didn't send it. And so at that point, before it gets too bad, you have the opportunity. Your bike's going to tell you which side you're out of balance. You can put that foot down, and at 5'9", you can easily do it. And so I think he's responding to one of the videos where we had somebody that was that size also saying, "How can you talk about that's like seat heights are too high, blah, blah, blah." Right. I hear it all the time. Seat heights are actually too low, especially on adventure bikes, because they want you to go to the showroom and feel comfortable putting your feet on the ground. Go get a Harley. I can't believe I missed the stream. No Bible study. Ashley, again, thanks for all the comments, buddy. Those comments really do help us in the thing. And I'm kind of curious for the people that are still up there, the late streamers. Where's everybody from? Where are we watching this from? Because I think I've pissed off all the Canadians and Australians, so we got rid of those guys. So you can get into the conversation. I'm pretty sure now we've done the Chinese. And Victor, give me a few minutes. I'll get to you Mexicans. Victor, everybody. I helped him not go to jail this weekend because he called me up for some counseling, or texted me up for some counseling before he was going to go take care of it. We'll call it Mexican style. He found a bike that was stolen from him not too long ago. He found this bike that was his. He even got the serial number, so he made sure it was his, and he was going to go take care of it. And he managed to do the right thing and notify the police before he went and took care of it, and he ended up getting his bike back. And he would have taken care of the wrong guy because that guy bought it from another guy. You know how the story goes. So don't buy bikes without pink slips. Texas and Washington, Tejas in Washington State. Mike from Tejas. That could be Mexico. Let's see. Well, yeah, Asher, we know you're in northern Idaho. I don't know why I keep thinking you're from Texas. Isn't northern Idaho? Aren't you guys kind of like a different up there, like a real survivalist and don't pay your taxes and stuff? Speaking of my problems, overpay the taxes. And then Okar Schneider, 2341 says, okay, and this comment is brought to you by Yamaha Blue Crew. Just check out, like, these guys pioneered the tuning with the app that you can get for your YZ and your FX. You just use your phone and you get any kind of power band you want. And I'm going to talk more about this in a second, but Okar Schneider says, DBT, always KTM fanboys. Sure. Yeah, I always KTM fanboys. Just because the show sponsored by Yamaha, I made the mistake of picking the KTM 500 as the bike of the year. I'm just trying to get KTM back on to advertise because we want to be shills for our sponsors. You know this. Beta can advertise it anytime soon, and you'll know why I said that comment in a few weeks. I think. I don't know. I heard some rumblings from the test crew about stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But always KTM fanboys. Thank you for the comment. And then J Stone 6619, great video. What track is this? Thanks. Well, if it's a track and Trevor made the video, 99% Glen Helen. That's just saying. Trevor is like a magnet drawn to Glen Helen. Americ Kiwis in New Zealand. And then he says Jimmy for president. Ogden, Utah, Riverside. Victor thanked the Riverside Sheriff's Department. Johnson Valley, that'd be Justin Linewieber. And then Asher Lito says people just don't want government maintained roads up here. That's it, huh? Because then the government can't come and get you to pay your taxes. John Beck, thankful for authoritative voice about simple desert cleanup. An issue that should seem obvious, but doesn't seem to be. Yeah, John Beck. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. John, an awesome photographer, videographer. I've worked with John. John actually shot one of my favorite photos of our original King of the Motos start. I don't know how he ended up out at Johnson Valley, but he shot it in black and white on film, and I have it hanging in our schoolhouse over here. It's a really cool shot, and I'm pretty sure it was the first year. I don't remember, but what a pretty cool thing. Carlos, 350 4-stroke or 300 2-stroke for technical. Well, Carlos, depends on how technical you're going, but the more technical, the more the 300 makes sense, and especially the fuel-injected 300s that just run super, super smooth. They're just easier to get traction with. Although Gronk says a 250 4-stroke is what he's saying, but he should be saying Husaberg, bro. I thought we were buddies on that, Gronk. I can't remember what his original question was that got him into the stream, but yeah, diverse audience out there. It's good to see everybody listening in. I know what I was going to talk about. So Triumph today released a lot more information on their 250 motocross bike. and they basically they didn't get too deep. But I tell you what I saw when I looked at it. So I've always noticed that the frame was kind of a little bit like the old Yamaha frame. And the only reason I say this is because Yamaha is a sponsor. I'm just, again, shield to the sponsors. But Yamaha pioneering the original kind of single down tube aluminum frame. So like very similar in certain ways to the frame on the YZ125 and YZ250 two-stroke, except it looks like the Triumph kind of splits off of that single backbone a little bit earlier. It's not like a twin spar. And I really do think that there's something to that. And when you combine that with Dave Arnold working on the chassis development, Dave Arnold is from back in the Honda HRC days and has worked for a lot of the different manufacturers and one of the sharpest guys in the business. And when I hear people talk about them getting the right people into the development of that, Dave is key to that, because I think what his specialty was be able to listen to riders that could feel stuff. And even if they couldn't feel stuff, they could say the bike's doing this or the bike's doing that. They didn't actually feel it. They just said bike did this, and he would know where to push it back. And 254 stroke is actually going to be pretty easy to get a good handling bike. The trick is going to be getting the power. So this will be interesting to see where Triumph comes up with this. But what does Triumph have? Of course, a big throttle body. I saw they gave some specs on that. But they also have a tuning app. So they didn't show much of what it would do, but they got looks like really easy to use buttons for traction control, launch control, and different maps. And they had an app. Thanks Yamaha for bringing the free app to the motocross and off-road world, because that is the best thing. And I actually picked Yamahas as shootout winners in when we did comparisons and stuff, for the sole reason that I could actually the suspension, everything was really good on the Yamaha, and if the motor was a little bit off, I could turn the motor into anything else. And this is why I say check out the YZ Power Tuner app. Probably the best thing that comes for free with your YZ. In fact, you don't even have to buy a YZ. And guess what? Now Kawasaki has it. Kawasaki has one. You haven't played with it too much, just saw how it worked at the track. Looks like Triumph is having one. These are going to become normal, and it's on competition bikes, and it's really awesome. So I follow If You Can Burp says, hey man, hold on. Well, give me a second. I can cough. I don't think you're going to get a burp out of me. That's gross. Asher Lito, YZ125s are cheaper used in my area than the YZ125X. I plan on doing mostly 75-25 single track MX. Can I get by on a YZ125, or is a YZ125X that much better off-road? So the answer is yes, you can get by on a YZ125. The thing about the X, and I know on the 250 it's really, really noticeable. But the way that the power valve ramp inside of the way that the power valve ramps up is different on the X versus the normal YZ250. I don't know if that's the same on the YZ125. I think there's a longer muffler and some other stuff, but I think the YZ125, you're still going to be running it pretty hard and wide open. I do remember I liked it, and I had no problem riding the YZ125X around the motocross track. But it sort of gets into this thing where I think the suspension may actually be the biggest difference between those two bikes on the 125. And I was kind of on a smoother, jumpy track, and I thought it was going to be a lot worse, but it really wasn't that bad, where a lot of times the X models on jumpy tracks, tend to use too much of the stroke, but Yamaha's got good suspension. So that's good. Power valve ramp is slower on the YZ125, and that's a really easy thing to change if you decide that, hey, I want that type of power character. You could just buy that part and put it in there. Oh yeah, Gronk is the KTM RFS lover. Hear me out. 525 motor and a Core 450 rally chassis. Am I right? No, you need to have a Husaberg motor in that chassis. And then the good thing about if you did that, if you had a really older Husaberg motor, has a lot of power, it'd probably blow up, and then you could just hang out and tell everybody how bitching you were. You wouldn't even have to ride anymore. Kind of like what I've been doing lately. So, okay. Well, hey, everybody. I think it's been a successful show. I'd like to pat myself on the back, but my shoulders have kind of been going out a little bit. I need to ride more to get the stretching in. I was going to start doing yoga. I thought that would be good for me, but I realized that I actually, because yoga is your own thing, I actually realized that when I'm on my bike, I'm doing yoga. It calms my mind and makes things better. Hey, I also had a note about, like, I heard and I kind of started seeing the conspiracy theories. So one of the things that hit the news was Taddy Blazusiak, who KTM Extreme Enduro rider back in the day, famously showed up on a junkie gas. Oh, that sounds familiar. At Erzberg, and was beating everybody and basically got a KTM factory ride in a day, came over to here, started killing it in the Extreme Enduro, or not the Extreme Enduro, the Enduro Cross series, started beating up on David Knight, who was the guy, and had a really successful Extreme Enduro thing. He left. He was on gas for a little while. He left a couple weeks ago, and bang, pops up on the Stark Varg, was going to ride the Extreme World Enduro, the Extreme Super Enduro is what it's called. So it's the Enduro Cross of Europe is the Super Enduro. And now they said he's banned. So, but again, this is an FIM sanctioned event. There aren't the rules just right now. We've started to see it in some of the smaller Supercross races, the national Supercross races in some of the other countries, some of these sort of arena cross / Supercross races. We're seeing these bikes pop up, and the organizations are letting them run. Of course, the Japanese MX made an exception for Trey Kennard, and he was going to do the Super Enduros on the Stark, and that didn't happen. And now you hear all the conspiracy theories. But what is happening? And I've always said this: it's coming. I don't care who's making or whatever. It is coming. When you see the big manufacturers, the Hondas and the KTMs, start producing this stuff, then it will almost be here. But right now, Stark, they made big, bold claims, and I jumped on them when they made big, bold claims. I say, I'll believe it when I ride it. Well, guess what? I haven't ridden it, so I can't believe it yet. But I do believe. I was going to try to get a friend of mine who's ridden one on here. I had Jeff Fredette on here who rode one. He talked about it a little bit, I think, on one of our earlier shows. I had a little segment with him. He was very impressed, and he's a KDX 200 guy. Not hard to impress with power, but guess what? He was impressed with the power. Everybody that's ridden it, nobody has complained about the power on that thing. I just haven't heard anybody give a real accurate assessment of. They haven't explained how it works just yet. Like what you're really feeling. I've heard a lot of these guys ride it and say, yeah, I can ride it hard, but did they really ride it hard and whatnot? So it'll be interesting. They're going to be different, and it's coming. But when you start trying to race different things, that have different characteristics, there's going to be big advantages and big disadvantages in both sides of the thing, and it's just, how does that work? So we'll see what happens. Jason Abbott, another guy I really appreciate stuff. He rode one last week, and he says impressive, and he says I have feedback, and he would know. He's got actually probably more electric experience than he can talk about. I would think. So awesome. Maybe we'll get you on the show next week, Jason. We'll see how everything lines up. I'm trying to get Captain Larry's safety segment back on to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. He was being pretty safe in not wanting to come on the show, but that could happen next week. Again, I have a class this weekend. If you want to become a better rider, show up, because I tell you what, this is a pitch for my class. I found out that a good coach empowers you to move on. So I want you to come to my school, and I want you to learn some stuff, and I never want to see you again. You want to come here. You're paying me a lot of money to be nice to you. I'll teach you how to ride a dirt bike, and then you're going to move on and become a better rider. So with that, everybody, I will say I'd love to see you on next week's show. Comment, subscribe, like. Get ready for the t-shirt order forms to go up on Dirt Bike Test, some sort of social media page or something. I don't even know. And have a happy Thanksgiving last week. I hope you did. Cheers. We'll see you out on the trail. Now I got to find the thing that makes this show go away. How about that? That didn't work. How about that? Cheers.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully, we'll see you out in the trail.